Welcome to episode 2 of the Publishing Persuasion podcast, a podcast where writers chat and laugh and giggle all about the writing life. I'm co-host Angela Montoya, along with the amazing, the fantastic, the wondrous amazingness of Melanie Schubert.
Well, after
and
that
welcome
intro,
to episode 2.
I feel like I need to dance or something after that intro.
I need to come up with maybe some more creative words. Wondrous is maybe not like the best word I could have thought of, but it just came out. So
Okay, I'll take it. So episode 2, exciting times.
Yes. Melanie, I have to say, I read your newest project and I was heart eyes the entire time because I was just so like proud of you and like happy for you, and I was in love with the characters, and it just made me so stinking happy to read your story. And your story was freaking fire. So like it was win-win all around. But I just have to like congratulate you on this last project because it's so good. It's so good.
You're gonna make me
I just have to brag about you.
I'm welling. That means a lot to me. I did kind of just live in my writing cave doing nothing but this for 3 months, as you know. I think people are still like, what did that girl, like when you tell people that you wrote a book and edited it in like 3 months, people just kind of look at you like you've lost the plot. But I think it's like people forget, like I don't have kids. This is my full-time job. Like I do have the time to do that. I don't know if I would push that hard again, but it was fun. But it means a lot that it's exciting, the feedback I've gotten from you and Jess Para, and I hope the agents feel the same. So.
I freaking hope so too, because it's such like, it's just a sweet, emotional, heartfelt, hilarious story, and like I just love it so much. I just want everybody else to love it and read it too. So I really do. I hope so. Like I have the highest hopes for this book and for you and just the whole thing. I feel like a mom just like watching on the sidelines. I don't know. Not that I had anything to do with it, but I just am like, oh, I just love
You
it
did,
so
though.
much. So.
You say you have nothing to do with it, but you did. I think like if I didn't have people like you cheering me on and how quickly you read it and got your feedback back to me, even though I know that is not, I am not holding you to that mark to get stuff back to me that quickly, just so you can, like that was exceptionally fast. And yeah, it's exciting and fingers crossed.
Totally, fingers,
and
toes.
I saw you've been writing this week also.
I have. I'm zero draft. I thought I had it outlined. I do not. I do not know what I don't know what I'm writing right now, where I'm going. Like, okay, so for example, I started the book thinking it was about this girl and her mom's relationship, and then all of a sudden last night I was like, no, the mom has to die. And so I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't decide if the mom should live or die or what. I don't know. I had one story in my head, and then as I was writing, I was like, maybe not. So I honestly am just writing. Like the zero draft will make no sense to anybody. If I just handed it to you right now, you're gonna be like, this is like 5 different books in one. Like there are 5 storylines going. So yeah, I'm in zero draft, but I'm just like pushing forward and just kind of telling myself the story right now. I do want it to be about this young girl kind of I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of kids, they see their parents, they kind of see them as one thing. And then when they grow up as adults, and then you're kind of like, oh, wait a minute, they're humans too.
Yeah.
And they've had, lives and these backstories too of kind of why they are the way they are. So that's kind of the theme I'm going for is just kind of like, you get it wrong sometimes as a kid. You don't understand why your parents sometimes act the way they do.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm going with this.
I love
will
that.
I get there? I don't know. I don't know if I'll get there, but
You will.
but it's cool because I hope so. Like I really want to do it right. My dad is a poet, and I kind of like a lot of times I can see who he is through his poetry, and so I kind of want to add that into it, into the story, not necessarily his poems or anything, but that kind of like she gets to know her parents through almost like their past lives in a way. So, or
I love that.
Yeah,
I
we'll
love
see.
that. And I think it's really relatable to everyone. I think we all have that moment where we realize our parents are human. You'll totally nail it.
I hope so. We shall see. As of this
Yes.
point, I don't know who's alive and who's dead. I don't know.
But I mean, they do say in YA, it's YA this one.
Yeah, this one's it's officially YA.
It's kind of like the main character, they're supposed to kind of be removed from their parents a lot. So often they're like gonna be killed off early. So
kill them all. I know. Yeah. Well, and it's funny because like every Disney movie, every Disney princess movie, whatever, the parents are usually dead. The king and queen are gone. And I never really thought about it until someone was like, oh yeah, that's to build their character. And I'm like, dang. Well, thank goodness my kids are not Disney princesses because I'd be gone. So just like, yeah, I mean, sure, death builds character, but damn, I want to live. But yeah, that's, I can see, how that works. And a lot of the story is going to be kind of, because I'm mixed race. My mom is white, my dad's Mexican. And so I wanted to kind of build that into this story as well, as just kind of like sometimes being removed from one culture, when parents split, and then getting to dive back in and see family and understand the beauty of your culture and your heritage. And I know like in your book, you did a lot of Croatian like food. And I was just the whole time, like, I was like, I'm going to Google this. Like, what is this? This sounds delicious. And I love that. I love when people like put food and, the recipes and like how they're making it in a book. Cause I'm like, damn, that sounds good.
I mean, it's really what Own Voices is about, isn't it? The food.
Yeah.
I don't know if Croatian is classified as Own Voices, but yeah, I grew up actually very Croatian because, well, I went to a Croatian church growing up. So that was kind of my little bubble. And I think Croatian was my first language because I went to a Croatian church and speaking to my grandparents. But then obviously I became totally Australianized. But so it's like a weird, I don't know if you call it second generation Croatian, because I don't necessarily identify as Croatian. But then it was such a strong, it's like you said, like the merger of the two sides, like,
yes,
I would still, my grandparents don't speak English, so I would still need to talk to them in Croatian, but it all comes back to the food, especially in Croatian culture.
Well, in Mexican culture too. So I am with you on that. Like,
this is why we're kindred spirits. I think that maybe our culture, our roots are very similar,
For sure. Food first. Food number one.
First, we're both very chatty.
Yeah.
I don't know about your culture, but in mine, that's a thing. We're very like fiery.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds very right. Yeah. That's hilarious.
Our episode today is focused on Pitch Wars. But before we dive into that, I have to ask you, because I know you saw this week too. I have to bring up the elephant in the room. So cats. I watched Cats
Oh God.
this week, and
You watched
I
it?
need to touch on it for my sake. Because
Cats the musical, guys. We are talking about Cats the musical.
it had to
that was
happen. It's
released in,
critical.
oh my gosh. Well, we only made it about 15 minutes in before my kids looked at me and said, are we really doing this? And I was like, no, okay.
Totally. I had my brother-in-law over, and so we were watching it together with my husband, and we were just like sitting there, and I was it about 15 minutes, I think, as well, like when they got into the house where Rebel Wilson, the cat Rebel, you got up to that too, and then the mice. And I don't know why, but for some reason, all of us were just super mad about the mice being out of proportion in size. Like they were just teeny tiny. And
I thought the same damn thing. I was like, what? Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
And I just didn't understand anything that was happening. I honestly felt like I was on something, some other plane of existence. And I have to say, it all just felt a little bit perverted. I just felt very wrong looking at those cats, and their little tails would flick up, and then their butts, and did they have boobs or did they not have boobs? Like then they were stripping their skins off, and I just didn't know where to look.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm speechless. Like I did not drink enough to watch that.
Totally.
It was so bad. And I don't know, I'm not sure if I've ever talked to anybody that has actually finished the movie.
Really?
I one of my friends said that the only way they did it was like drinking games, and that way, yeah, makes total sense. But yeah, just the whole thing was kind of traumatizing a little.
It was so traumatizing.
It was so bad. The way they moved, and I was like, okay, I get it, like it's a cat, but then I was like,
But also, I just don't know who thought that was a good idea. Like we used to do that when we were 5, gallop around like we were tigers and lions in our living room. But I don't know who was like, it's a great idea for us to put this as like, and the cast, they got Judi Dench, they got Ian McKellen. I was just like, how did they get this cast?
I do not know, because the cast was fantastic. And yeah, like Jason Derulo came out, and he was right after Rebel Wilson's part, and I'm like,
yeah,
like, and my daughter just looked at me and she was like, wait, is that the, and I'm like, it is him. Let's just keep going, like just ignore it. It's just so bad.
But it's like you have to see it. It's like you have to see it to know. Like it's like one of those once in a lifetime.
That's it, max. Once, done. So bad. I'm trying to think like of another movie or show that was that cringy. I think it might top the list of just.
I think it tops the list. The only thing that came even close for me is actually when I started writing, it was for a review company called Weekend Notes. So I would like review cafes and restaurants, and then I'd put up a little review online, and at one point I was doing quite well with it, and I'd get invitations to do stuff. And one of the things you'd like win invitations as well. So they'd be like, this is going up, and then you could apply for it. And one of the invitations I won was to a premiere of some movie. I wish I could remember the name of something so odd. It was the oddest. I have to say it's up there with this. Like it just was, nothing made sense. And like people were doing the weirdest, those things that just make your soul clench a little, like, why did he do that? I don't understand why he licked the mold off the wall or whatever. Like, really weird stuff. So, but I think Cats will just top it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now
I'm
that
so
we've
happy.
aired that out, because I had to talk about that. Pitch wars.
Yeah. I don't know if we can come back from cats, but pitch wars, yes. Yeah. So Melanie, you and I met through Pitch Wars. We were both mentees and we bonded through Instagram because we're both Instagram girls.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just chatted all throughout Pitch Wars, survived it together. And yeah, so for those who do not know what Pitch Wars is, it is a mentorship program for, you know what, let me just read what it is. So I will just get it right. This is from pitchwars.org. Let me read it to you. Pitch Wars is a mentoring program where published, agented authors, editors, or industry interns choose one writer each, read their entire manuscript, and offer suggestions on how to make the manuscript shine for an agent showcase. The mentor also helps edit their mentees' pitch for the contest and their query letter for submitting to agents. That's what it is. It's just this mentorship basically where budding writers get mentored by people in the industry, be that agented authors, editors, agents, whatever. And they're people that really know their stuff. And it's a big thing. It's a big to do.
It's big to do.
Yeah, it was a wild experience. And how did you first hear about Pitch Wars?
Actually, I first heard about it after I read Caraval.
Oh.
And then I was Googling Stephanie Garber's agent, and she's got a big How I Got My Agent post that I actually refer to over the years because her story is just, it's so funny because we've talked about this before, but it's like people see the success at the end and they're like, oh, she's so talented. Oh, she had a successful journey. But like her journey was hard. And like, I think Caraval was like, it was like her 10th book or something. I don't know. I'm pulling that fact out of there.
We'll
but
go
just
with it.
reading her story and feeling like, wow, like this person had this whole journey and whatever. And she'd mentioned how Pitch Wars was instrumental in that. And I was just like, huh, okay. So I started Googling and I was like, oh, this is a thing. Like this is and there's another Australian author, Astrid Schultz. She's at For Dead Queens. And she also has a similar, like, she had the How I Got My Agent with the Pitch Wars. I was like, 2 authors that I've read this year, and they were Pitch Wars, you know, and their books are everywhere. And I was like, oh my goodness, I need to get into Pitch Wars because yeah, I think when you have that tangible book on your shelf, it feels like that it's like a clear signpost, like this is a thing to do to get your book on the shelf. So yeah, reading those blog posts kind of led me onto it, and that's where it all started.
That's amazing. When was this your first year? Yeah. I was gonna say auditioning, submitting.
It basically is.
Razzle dazzling them. Yeah. Okay. So this was your first year submitting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh no. The year that I got in.
Yeah.
No, the year before. Okay. Sorry. I thought she meant the year I was Googling. I was like,
oh, whatever.
Yours makes a lot more sense. Why would you ask me the year I was Googling?
All the same. We're just gonna go edit that out. Just kidding.
No, it was my second year entering, and I actually entered with the same manuscript. So I entered Society of the Unseen the year before, much less edited. Let's be honest, it was a first draft. And I was just like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yes.
It's definitely going to get me in. And then it didn't. And yeah, for some reason, I did that reader report with Adeline Grace, who now is like, I think she'd already sold All the Stars and Teeth. It was already like picking up. But I'm like, I really got in with her last minute for that reader report because I don't think she would do that anymore. Like she's off in Riderland. But yeah. I did a reader report with her, and then I felt like it had changed significantly enough to consider re-entering it the year I got in.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that you didn't, you just kept going. And I did similar. I submitted 2018, didn't get in, kept working on my project, and then eventually shelved it, and then hopped on Sinner's Isle. And I submitted thinking, I think we all, we're all thinking this, like, oh, it's a long shot.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Like, I'm not going to be bothered by this. And blah, blah, blah. But no, like, I was secretly stalking the Twitter feed of like when the, when the mentors are like doing the teasers.
Yeah.
I was like pretending I wasn't on there, but I was like, oh, that might be me. And it wasn't even somebody I submitted to.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think the second time round, like the first time round, when I didn't understand how competitive it was, I think that's why I was more delusional about, oh, I'll get in. By the second time, I knew how competitive it was, and I didn't expect to get in at all. The round I actually got in, I was just like, I'll just enter it just because got to take every shot you can get, and it's a shot I can take, so why not? It's not like it even costs you anything to, like, there's stuff you have to pay to enter competitions. You don't even have to pay. So it's like, I was like, I'll just enter and see what happens. So yeah, it is very competitive. And I feel like I want to kind of start this segment out by saying that like, I think nothing is wrong with your book if you don't get in. It's like simply you're up against thousands of other people, hundreds of other people, depending on the mentor. And literally, I think it comes down to their personal, like, oh, they love dragons. And so dragons like sat at the top of the list. And yeah, I think I'm kind of going in a roundabout way, but that's definitely, I know people always ask, and leading up to now, it's going to be coming to picking the mentors and stuff. And they're always like, how did you pick your mentors? How did you, like, what's your advice to get in? And I think that following the mentors and low-key stalking them, as you said, just kind of stalking the Pitch Wars website. But I think that, like, I followed Artie from the first one. Artie Besson was my mentor. So I followed her from before. And so we'd interacted, and I knew she loved all the same anime I loved, plus had recommended some. And when I watched it, I was like, she understands my heart. There's just like, anime is really deep. Like, there's always these deep, I've got to get you into some more anime. There's always like these deep core life themes. And when I watched the ones she'd been ranting about, I was just like, I just love this girl, and like, we would be perfect together. But still not thinking that she'd actually pick me. But it definitely, like, if you like a lot of the same things, like not just one or two popular things, but like more obscure stuff, I feel like it definitely ups your chances than if I just applied. Like the year before, I just read through the list and I was like, oh, well, they like this. And it was like Game of Thrones, like something really that everybody was loving at the time. And like, it's not going to really help if they are compatible with you. And I'd seen her in interviews and stuff, and I was just like, I could just feel that our hearts were similar. And I was like, I've got to apply to her. And I think that's definitely something to consider going into it, that because it's so competitive, the more you can try to network and interact with the prospective mentors, I think can give people a better idea. So I've just like jumped ahead to like the advice section of the thing.
But you know what? I mean, that's what people, I think, who are really interested in doing pitch wars, those kind of tips are so helpful, because it really is this overwhelming experience. I mean, you see, I don't remember the numbers on how many mentors there were, but 100 and let's say 120 mentors.
I think
and
so.
They break it down. So we have middle grade, young adult, and adult. And, so you'll have a few, 20 mentors here, 20 there, whatever the numbers are. And so you basically will figure out which of those mentors are in your genre. So we were both in young adult. And yeah, and the young adult genre is a little bit, I think, bigger than the other
Biggest,
genres.
yeah.
And I mean, it's just a popular, who doesn't love young adult? And yeah, so you have to, let me look at my list because I have the dates
Yes,
right
you're
here.
so prepared. I love it.
I am ready. So this is for this year. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're interested in Pitch Wars, this is for this year. These are your dates to listen to. So September 11th through the 25th of this year, the Pitch Wars mentor wish list goes live. And so that is, the mentors are going to post what they're looking for, right? Like what they love, just who they are. And that to me was like, I was so excited for that, because yeah, that's when you look like how you found Addie, like that's where you see who you are going to have the most in common with, because you can only submit to 4 mentors total. And so you have to be very choosy, because there really are so many mentors with similar likes as yours, but if you don't find the ones that you really feel like they're going to like latch on to you and your work, then it's just kind of like a lost submission, because you're not going to vibe. So I was always, and I read everybody's. I read every mentor's thing. I wasn't in middle grade, but I wanted to know everything because I'm just nosy. I just wanted to know, like, what's she up to? Maybe I'll, maybe I have something, even though I don't write it. Yeah. But it's just, what's so cool though about Pitch Wars is it's a volunteer thing. Like, they're not getting paid for this. They just want to help other writers. And so it's amazing. The submission for mentees opens September 30th. Now right? That's the right? Does that seem right to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then closes November. Oh no, that's when they choose it. Oh no, it opens the 26th of September and closes the 30th. So you have a few days window to submit what it was, the query, synopsis. I think we do a synopsis.
Too.
Yeah. And then what, like 5 or 10 pages of your.
It's not much to sell yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
you get.
like I always feel like that's the hardest part. And I think I've been doing the Save the Cat online course, and one of the things she says that really sticks with me is, like, writers, we tend to be, in our little writer zone, quietly working away. And she's like, one of the reasons that she thinks so many successful, like great books, not successful, great books never see the light of the day is because intrinsically writing a query letter, the skill of writing a query letter and writing a book are completely separate, because one is creative and one is a marketing thing. And she was just like, most writers are not good at marketing ourselves. I know it's something I've had to push hard to learn, how to like market myself and like do a podcast, like do the things that like make you marketable. It doesn't come naturally initially. It's like, it's uncomfortable, and it's uncomfortable to like feel like you're, so I'm fabulous, look at me, like that's a totally uncomfortable thing to do initially. But as she put it, she's like, if you can't champion yourself and your book, how can you expect an agent or a publisher to sell it? And I was like, oh, she has a point. I was like, it's so true. Like, if you can't make your book sound sellable and exciting, how can the publisher?
That is good. And I think you're like, for writers in particular, it's so hard. And even when people ask me, friends and family, oh, what's your book about? Well, there's like witches, and then there's like this like pirate guy, and then that's it. And I'm like, I am garbage at selling my book. And the query is freaking hard. A good query is so hard to master. And I think for me to get that query, like, because I'm terrible at it, was like using your critique partners, your friends, your writer community. It's the only way. It's the only way. It's so hard to write a good query. A synopsis, forget about it. Like, that's impossible. But, you know, it's like you pretty much just taking the skeleton book and you're just like, that's it. That's what it is. I don't know.
That's a good point about the community, because even like the year I didn't get in, I had already, that was the year I seriously started to the network.
Yes.
It's like when you first hear that word, you just don't understand how I was just like, oh, networking. Yeah. But it's like, it's a thing. And it is literally the difference between like just having, I think it changes everything, networking with people, because you have people there cheering you on. And when you find those right people, it's so different from the other people who kind of like, it's almost like there's two kinds of writers, the competitive kind and the kind who are like cheering you on to succeed. And when you find the latter, it's like, it's a game changer, because it's just
totally.
It's those people want to see your book on the shelves, and you can feel the difference to people who are like competitive with you for that.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. You feel like the, not shade so much, but kind of just, yeah, that little bit of a virtual side eye where they're just like,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Whereas
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
with your good friends, it's not like there's zero competition, but it's almost like, let's see how far we can go with this together. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I'm gonna trample you to get where I'm going. It's like, let's hold hands and run for the sun. You know?
100%. And run for the sun is right, because you're running towards the fire, the heat. Like, no matter what, like, this whole writing journey, it's hard. So if you don't have that support system that is willing to jump in the fire with you, because they understand that they're in it too. And so it's kind of like you said, it's not a competition. Like, we're all trying to work towards this beautiful dream. Everybody's in their own, you know, path, but we're all trying to work towards it together. There shouldn't be a competition, because really everybody's on their own lane. You know, everybody's running their own race. But if you have someone that's running beside you and can pump you up while you're going, like, that makes the biggest difference. And, you know, and what I loved was even middle grade mentees, adult mentees, young adult mentees, like, we were all just like, you know, you got this. Because I think when you are in the thick of it, of these revisions that you have to get done crazy fast, you know, on this crazy kind of deadline that you kind of make for yourself in a way, but you know, but to have that support is key. And in 2018, when I submitted and I didn't get in, like, I didn't even have any interest. No one, none of the mentees even were like, hey, can I see an extra 5 pages? Like, I got nothing. And but I met friends along the way that were in the same boat, you know, and it was just, it made it less painful, because we're like, well, that sucked, but at least I met you, you know, like, it's that kind of a feeling. And then you grow and learn together. And that is so valuable. And even throughout this whole Pitch Wars thing, like, if you get in or not, you build that community and you just keep growing. And they're going to be your biggest cheerleaders when you do succeed. You know what I mean? Like, because they understand. No one else will understand the hardship of writing like other writers.
And I do feel like with something like Pitch Wars, that it's kind of attracts the serious writers. Like, I think there is kind of a difference between hobby writing and like the writers who are like, we're gonna do this like with everything we have. And I just think that like-minded energy, when you start networking with people like that and you realize you're not alone in that, that's just fire. It's just like, because it's hard. And I wanted to come back to that when you said at the start, we survived Pitch Wars, because it's something that like we definitely talked about when we were in it. because you're so grateful for the opportunity to get in. Like, it is hard to get in. It's like you feel like the universe has smiled on this book or like whatever. And then you actually start doing pitch wars, and spoiler, like, it is hard. We're not gonna have fun doing pitch wars. Like, just if you want like a fun writing experience, it's just like turn the other way. It is not pitch wars. Like, pitch
No.
wars is gonna make you cry and bleed and sweat and twist your brain ways you didn't even know it could twist. And that is pitch wars in a nutshell, guys. There it is. Because
it's so true.
You know, like, you are, so I was so grateful, and I'll forever be grateful to Artie for seeing something in my work. But yeah, like, it is hard. And like, sometimes as we would go through, so you get the initial feedback from your mentor from their first read through, and it was a lot. And I was just like, I read it, and then I had a panic attack, and then I read it again, and I had a bigger panic attack. And I was like, you know, I'm just not sure she's read the same book I've written, because the initial letter, I was just like, I just can't see how what she's telling me to do is possible with this particular book. And
it's impossible.
I'm still not convinced I did what she wanted me to do, but like, I did one big thing. I pulled off what she suggested I change, that I make my evil villain the mother of the male lead. So I managed to pull that off, but I think a lot of what I think they kind of follow the save the cat thing, don't they? The essential pitch wars, the way they want you to edit. So if you're using that kind of model, you're already ahead of the pack, because I think it definitely does make, having used it now myself, I can see how it reassembles. I avoided this stuff for so long because I thought it would be like formulaic and it would like steal some of my free creative essence or whatever. But having actually used Save the Cat now, it's not what it does at all. It's like, you still have a bag full of candy, but now you've got a bag. It's not just the candy. It's not just flying everywhere, like rolling around in the back of the car. Like, you've got a bag to hold the candy, and it's like, you know, that's a thing now, the bag of candy. That's how I felt. Like, I've just bagged all of it, and now it has a form and a structure. So I can't recommend that enough. Like, that's a game changer for me. So I highly recommend, like, any aspiring pitch wars future mentees. Hopefully, if you're listening, I'm going to just send you some good luck right now. And that's my hot tip, Save the Cat, because it just makes your work, it gives that hook, I think, for readers to kind of just like, oh, what's going to happen next? And it's that's the secret storytelling method, that arranging your creative words, your unique creative words, in a way that will resonate with readers and keep them reading the whole way through.
Yeah, I love Save the Cat so much.
Yeah.
It's funny that, because when you first get in, you know, they go through your stuff, they give you this edit letter.
Yeah.
And I remember, because Margie Fuston was my mentor. She still is. She doesn't know, but she's still in my life. I shoot her a little text now and then, but like, they send the edit letter, and mine was a few pages long. And I just remember thinking, like, why did she choose me? Like, because like, there's a lot. Like, it was basically like, oh, I love this, but we need to change the beginning, the middle, and the end. And then after that, it's great. And I'm like, holy crap. But yeah, like, I use Save the Cat, and once I kind of, you get this edit letter, and you have to let it sit. Like, do not reply to your mentor, do not complain, you have to let it sit and be open-minded and try to see and get to the heart of what they're trying to tell you and show you. And at the end, you're going to realize they are right. Like, because Margie is about it. Like, she knew what this book needed. Like, she is on point, and slowly we work towards this new book. But man, when I first got the edit letter, I was like, holy shit, like,
Yeah.
holy hell, this is like, how do you even do this? Because it's only a few months. Like, in November we got it, or we got like we made it, right? November. Yeah. And then the showcase is February. So that's not very many months.
It's not.
It's intense. And yeah, you're the first one, you get your edit letter. I think you guys did Zoom, right? Did you guys have a Zoom? Yeah. And Margie and I did too. And that's where she got to break it down, like what she was trying to say and like what needed work. And a lot of it was like character motivation for me. It was kind of like she would ask me through each chapter, but why are they doing this?
Yes.
And a lot of time I'd be like, well, because like that's would be cool. And she's like, no. Why are they doing it? Like, what is the point? Like, go through each chapter and tell me, what is the point of this chapter? And a lot of chapters would be like, there is no point. I just liked it. And so I pulled a lot of chapters because that I thought were cool. I'm like, oh, these are glittery. And she's like, but they are pointless.
I love that. That's literally like the writing journey to a T, isn't it? Like starting off with something and just thinking it's like so beautiful and poignant and like life-changing. And then I think literally like learning to take that hard feedback on the chin. And it's like you said, even I think the most seasoned writer, when they get that feedback, you have to like let it sit, because I think it does press something in you. Mm-hmm. Even if you've like trained your mind and you're like, I know this needs a lot of work, whatever, but I think half of my writing journey has been like learning how good feedback is and that It's not out to get you. I feel like initially it's like you almost, and to be fair, I have had edits in the past where it almost felt like that editor was trying to project their vision. Mm-hmm. They didn't necessarily, like I just remember one edit in particular and just going over that feedback and feeling such despair. And in that instance, I did have to kind of sit and be like, okay, this editor has read it through their filter and I think they've missed the story. So sometimes you do have to go with your gut. But if you've found people, and Pitch Wars is this kind of thing, someone you can trust that has a good eye, and they have been handpicked for this because they have a good eye, then you just got to sit on it and just be like, okay, I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to cry about this feedback. And then I don't know about you, but when I actually looked over it a few days later, I was like, actually, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That would make it stronger. But just that initial, like, plucking a part of your work, it's hard.
Oh, yeah.
You're with it yourself for so long, I think.
Yeah. And it's funny because I was talking to Courtney Kay about this, how much Pitch Wars prepares you for the real writing world. For once you get out into the query trenches, once you get an agent, because you are going to be constantly picked apart. Or not you personally, but your book.
Yeah.
Let's hope not you
even
personally.
You personally, kind of like, hopefully when you have a book, the criticism can be harsh and people can literally come for you. You have to get tough about it and just, I think, it's true. Reframe the criticism and just be like, those aren't my readers,
100%. And that's what this whole thing is. It teaches you how to take that. And you do have to understand, your mentors literally just want the best for you. They want to see you and your book succeed. They want, because for them, it becomes their book as well in a lot of ways. It's their baby too, because you're in this beautiful partnership together to get this thing as beautiful as possible, and of course Pitch Wars is short, so sometimes you can't get there. It's such an intense experience that sometimes you cannot get your book as polished as you want it, because it's just impossible, and that's absolutely okay. The point of Pitch Wars, and I think I this is kind of tricky, because at the end of Pitch Wars you have this showcase, and that's where agents get to go and they get to see a snippet, only 300 words including your pitch, right? So baby pitch. And all this pressure is put on you to have this perfect pitch and have all these agents love it and want you. But really, what really matters is that you come out of it with a book that you're freaking proud of, and that you've made these friendships, and that you've learned how to be a better writer and person. Like, the showcase was such a weird, funky thing, because you really do feel this pressure, like, oh, it's coming, like, holy shit, like, we're doing it, like, we're hopping on the roller coaster, we're going. For me, like, I had agents that were asking for foals from the showcase, but none of them, like, nothing came of those agents for me personally. I know some mentees ended up getting agents from the showcase.
Yeah.
But for me, that's not how it worked. And I really didn't care so much, because I was so proud of what Margie and I did with Sinner's Isle that I felt like I won. Like, I know you don't win Pitch Wars, but I felt like, you know what? This bitch won.
Yes, she did. She totally did.
I was like, survive.
I did not miss that showcase week, though. It was something else. And I think that what you've said, it's so true. There was so much pressure put on, like, these few lines. And yeah, I think we all felt that so intensely, and we all put so much pressure on ourselves, because the thing is, you still, and we were talking about this before, actually, before we recorded, about how with this industry, it's like you put like 1,000% of yourself into this stuff, and in an instant it can go to 1,000%. You can get into something like Pitch Wars, you can get an agent, the book can start. When it starts going, it's just so quick and so intense, but you can also put 1,000% in and get a no. And you have to kind of like be equal parts ready for either. And it's the same with Pitch Wars. I think with Pitch Wars, when you're working with someone and they're telling you, like, your book is awesome and it's gonna succeed, and you start to believe it, and it's like, that's where the pressure to, like, have something to show from it. But you're so right, like, just getting in, just finishing a book in itself is like such a success, because most people never do, and then to get into something like Pitch Wars and keep pushing, I just think getting in itself is like one of those signposts, like, you're on the right track. And if you get an agent through it, even better, you're like, the book is on the right track. But it is a wild ride, people. Just like brace yourselves. And even just the lead up to everything, I felt like the most intense part for me of all of it was when I got the initial, like, please send more material. And then you have to wait. You wait just the same as everybody who doesn't get in. Like, you just don't know until the last minute. It could not be you. And like, later I thought about the brutality of because, like, it was brutal enough when you get in, like, the angst that came with that. But if you were waiting till the last minute and then it was a no, like, that is hard. It is just it's literally like, when my non-writer friends asked me, I was like, it's basically like the American Idol, Australian Idol of the writing world. Like it's high stakes. And you're right, it is a lot like the actual industry, I think. Like it can be all or nothing.
It's
and you
so
just
true.
don't know until you try. And either way, I think it's still just, I just think even entering is an act of bravery. Like it is really scary.
Yes.
But
I think that's it right there. It's so brave because you, no matter what, you are putting yourself and your book baby and your perfect query out there for somebody to, I mean, not judge necessarily, but they're either going to say, pass or let me see more. And you are laying your soul.
yeah,
there.
you are. But the one good thing is, like, the more I've done stuff like that, and I can't recommend enough becoming comfortable with rejection if you want to pursue this seriously. Like, it's something I've had to teach myself, because literally now, as I look to querying Soul Swapped, yay, I'm not as afraid of being rejected anymore, because it's like you said, when you have this thing that you've like worked this hard for and you're that proud of, I literally think at this point, it's just finding your agent, your publishing soul people.
Yes.
And that's a hard thing to do, to find those people who share your vision. That's like basically your publishing spouse, like they're committing to you in a business point of view. And just, I think we've talked about this, but like the early rejections hurt a lot. But the quicker you can become accustomed to that's a normal part, it's a normal stepping stone in the industry, then you can be a bit more fearless and just go for it. And I think Pitch Wars is an awesome first step like that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Like it definitely, it prepares you for what's to come. And I know we hear this all the time, but it is so true. It is not personal. The no's are nothing against you as a person. Totally. It's just that person in particular did not fit for your manuscript. And they, and when it came to querying, I got this, kind of a back and forth where one agent would be like, oh, I love this character, but I don't like this part. And then another agent would be like, oh, I love this part, but I don't like that character. So it really is so subjective. Like because every human is different, believe it or not. And so like not everyone's going to vibe and mesh with your voice, your work, the plot. You have to wait and hope that one day you're going to find that one person, because when you do, it's going to click and it's going to be so perfect and beautiful. And like, when we got into Pitch Wars and you are talking with your mentor and they just get it, there's nothing better. There's no better feeling than someone being excited about your project, maybe even more than you are,
Yeah. So I didn't realize that. So was Larissa a cold query?
She was.
I didn't know that. So let's talk about that a little bit, whatever you can say. I should just present that our lovely, amazing, gorgeous star Angela has an agent.
I do. Yeah. So
tell us about that. So after Pitch Wars.
Yeah. So I had all my Pitch Wars queries sent out, that people that were interested from Pitch Wars. And I would start getting I got a lot of no's almost right off the bat, where they were just like, oh, kind of like, oh, I thought it was something different. Because again, it's only 300 words. And so they didn't really even know what to expect. They were just excited that it was like there's pirates and it was like a Latinx story. That's all they cared about. But they didn't really like care about anything else. So I started cold querying just a few. And I only like sent out a few at a time. And I think when it comes to querying and looking for agents and even your mentors, only go after somebody you will absolutely say yes to, because if they call and you're like, oh, dang, it was that one, that's gonna suck, because then what? You're gonna be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't really want you. So I only went after agents that specifically were asking kind of for what I was offering, and agents that I felt really excited about.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just pure chance and fate, but I love Manuscript Academy, the podcast, and Larissa was on there, and I was just listening to her, and I just loved everything she had to say about her clients and just her career in general, who she was. And then just by chance I was like looking on Manuscript Wishlist, and she popped up, and I'm like, well, obviously the universe
The
is
universe was
Yeah.
speaking to you.
It spoke, and I listened.
Mhm.
And she wasn't the first agent that like popped in that offered rep, but when she did call me, because she got it, she originally asked for 50 pages, and then I got an offer of rep, and so I told her, hey, I have 2 weeks, or if you're interested, here's the full. And she pretty much like got to me within like 3 days. She was like, I read this over the weekend. Can I call you right now? And I'm like, I'm making lunch for my kids, but sure. But she got the story. She clamped in, she understood, she got it, just like Margie with Pitch Wars, my mentor. Like, those few women that just get it, and get it sometimes more than I'll ever get it, because they see it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
The fact that what she was saying about my writing and the story and what it is to kind of be a woman in a man's world, and all of these things, I was just like, yes.
And I love those themes in your book. Like, those are some powerful themes that I think are still so important to talk about. And everybody's going to love your book. I can't wait to just pluck it off the shelf. I'm just going to, when I see them in the shops, I'm going to buy them all out. I'm just like,
Buy
I
'em
feel
all.
like Rosa is just so, and her phantoms are just, it's so likable with that dark element that I think so many fantasy, the balance of light and dark, I think you captured that so well. And just like her soul is just so pure and raw. And I love, you can see parts of you in it, and you can see parts of yourself when you read. And I think that that's like, we all crave to like see our human experience in some way, and
Yes. Yeah.
she's
And
so
that's-
beautiful. I just want
Thank
everyone
you.
to read Rosa.
Thank you. Me too. I do. As long as they like it. If not, don't read
do
it.
a new scene at the end. I'm just saying, like, yes, girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Woo. It was originally a YA fantasy, but you know what? It needed to go adult. It needed to.
The readers wanted the sauciness, and the readers have to get what the readers want.
They have spoken. They have spoken.
Very exciting. And I think that from everything you've told me, she's your agent soulmate, your agent match. And that's what you want. You want the person who, and I remember going to a writing event here, and we've got Amy Kaufman is a local author here. So I'm like, she does events, which is great. And I remember her saying to me, you don't always expect the successful author people to take you seriously, but I'd mentioned I'd finished a book and I was querying, and she turned around and she was like, just don't settle for just anyone. She's like, just make sure that who would like that thing of like, and having somebody who's already made it tell you, don't sell yourself short. Go for the person that is like, that you're excited about when you get the call from, because you're going to have to be working with them all the time. And I know it sounds like, well, of course, we all want our dream agents, but it also gives you something to shoot for. Like, I should feel like this book is worthy of that agent.
Yes.
And then there's just that chemistry, and they're going to be as excited for the book as you are.
Yeah.
And that's
100%.
what you need.
You do, because again, you're going to go through more edits. So like, even when you get an agent, they're going to have things that they feel needs to be tweaked or changed. So they have to love it as much as you do, because otherwise it's just going to peter out and no one's going to be excited anymore. And if you're not if there's no one excited about the book, it's just not happening. And so you have to find that one. You just need one. I remember you and I were always saying that to each other throughout Pitch Wars. We just need one. And it's true, but it has to be the right one. It can't just be, some Joe Schmo. It has to be the one.
Exactly.
And so you just keep working and fixing things and shooting your shot and just going out there
and writing new things, because I can't remember if I said this last time, just stop me if I did, but I think I put too much pressure on the one Pitch Wars book. And for me, writing something new was just so freeing and so liberating. And because it is competitive, and sometimes even if you have written something, it might not be what the market wants. The market might not be ready for YA dragons.
Yeah.
But they might be ready for YA goblin and soul swap.
I mean, I feel like I'm ready, so
I feel like I might be ready. So it's just keep writing is the bottom line. I think it always comes back to just keep writing and refining and networking. I'll just keep adding to the list. Now that I said just keep writing, I'm like, just keep writing and refining and networking and doing every course you can get your hands on.
Yes,
this definitely helps.
I honestly, I think the big thing too is just continue to learn, no matter whatever. Get your craft books, Save the Cat, changed you. I love Story Genius. I just bought The Emotional Craft of Fiction. No, I'm butchering the name. I don't know what it's called. I just got something new. So yeah, just keep learning, and because you're only going to get better. And I think throughout all of this, I think the main thing is, if you just love writing, like, just freaking write, just enjoy that process. And to me, like, just the entire journey from starting, like getting that little seedling of an idea and like turning it into something, and having friends that you can chat with along the way. To me, that is like, it's fun. It's hard, but it's so fun, because you really, like, you build these friendships and you have something to talk about, and you have something to laugh or cry or complain about. Like, it's so fun. And I know it's torturous at times, but at the end of the day, if you just remember that it's just writing, like, it's just supposed to be this beautiful outlet of creativity, don't worry about everything else. Like, just let it be that beautiful thing. And no matter what, you're gonna go far with it. And
well said.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I've been practicing that one.
I want to thank my mom and my dad. But it's so true. And I think just in life in general, I love passionate people. And I think, like, creative stuff, especially if you're not doing it because you love it, I just don't think that magic and that fire can be there. You know what I mean? Like, it's like anything. Like, I've told you, my husband is a truck driver, and I love watching people's faces when I tell them that, because in spite of this, like, whole new woke community we've got going, people are still like that. I can just see it. It's like, that's not what they expected. That he's, this like educated, handsome man is like
biscuit.
Total biscuit, is a truck driver. And when I explain it to them, they're still like, I remember my cousin, I shouldn't out my cousin. I have lots of cousins. Don't know which one it is.
Yeah, it could be any of them. Could be any of them.
But I remember telling her, we're talking about it, and she turned around and she's like, so what are you going to do after that? And I was just like, no, this is what he loves to do. Trucks are his passion. And he has that fire for that, you know? Whatever you do, I think like if it's anything, you can just see the people who have the fire for that. And I think in writing, it's so crucial in creative work to have it. Otherwise, your work will show that it's lacking the fire. So
totally,
just do it with the love of it.
I love that.
The magic will happen. Something like that.
Yeah.
So, Angela, what is your closing advice or thoughts on Pitch Wars?
Thank you for asking me that, Melanie. I appreciate that. So for me, honestly, and it's like this with life, do not go into it like expecting, like having all these like weird expectations. Like to me, I was thinking, oh, okay, this is it. I'm getting an agent. I'm doing this. This is going to happen. This, you know, like having this list of things that I thought I needed to happen in order to feel successful about Pitch Wars. Like those things happen, but not how I expected. And so I think if you go into things thinking it has to be just this way or I'm not going to be happy, you're not going to be happy because it's not going to happen that way. And if it does, no matter what, it's not going to be the same as how you imagine things, if that makes sense. Like, you know, you go into it.
I love that.
Thank you. Yes, thanks. I honestly, I felt that way because I thought, you know, you go into it and all these thousands of agents are going to just be pouring themselves out for you and they're going to be fighting for you. And for some people that does happen, but for most, it's not the case. And you're going to find your way and it's going to be your way and it's going to be perfect and exactly how it should be. Just don't go into it thinking it has to be this way. You know, let it just go with the flow. Enjoy it. Go with the freaking flow.
Yes, that was beautiful.
What about you?
Well, I 100% second that. And I think it's such a hard process. And I think putting that, like you said, the pressure on yourself to have something happen, but also realizing I wasn't ready for it when I thought I was, you know, like if I did get into Pitch Wars the first time and like, I'd like to think I would have rallied, but I just think my mindset was wrong. My mindset was so wrong towards it. And I think it's hard in the moment to tell yourself this isn't what you need now. But sometimes what comes later is so much better than what you could have expected. And I feel like things are happening in the time that I'm ready for them, if that makes sense. So
that's
like
beautiful.
Even though like 5 years ago, I thought I was ready to have a book on the shelves in the store, I actually I'm relieved that didn't happen then, because I wouldn't even be the writer I am now. And I think if you can like really just embrace the journey of it all and like you said, just have fun with it, that's really all, then you're just living the life, you know, doing what you love. And I think like uplifting other people on their journeys too has really changed things for me, because I feel like the more you cheer on other people and help them succeed, it makes the environment of it all so much nicer, and it makes it feel so much more tangible for you. And somehow before you know it, you have a podcast with your Pitch Wars friend, you know? I could never have imagined that like a couple of years ago that I would even feel comfortable to be on camera talking for that long, you know? And that's my other thing. Just say yes. Throw as many of the universal big magic balls up into the air as you can, because you never know which one will land. So,
Yes.
you know, take all the shots.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Yes, thank you. I'm taking that in for myself. That was perfect.
Well, do you have anything else you want to close on?
No, I mean, I would just like to suggest that everybody watch Cats and
I mean, look, you all need to watch it just so you can experience the atrocity of those flicking tails. And I'm just like, if they were going to go into such detail, I noticed they neglected buttholes, though. I'm just like, if you're going to go there, just go there.
No, I think they had them in there at
No,
one point. I think my friend said that they took them out because it was grossing people out. I mean, don't quote me on that.
This.
Yeah, I think there were buttholes.
I need to Google this now. I can't get that image out of my head.
Yeah, but
watch Cats and watch us, and you can find us at Melanie_Schubert_writer on Instagram, and
I'm at Angela Montoya Writes on Instagram, and we have Pub Persuasion on Instagram as well. So follow us and chat with us and join us and just be our friends.
Yes, and we can all cheer each other on this scary roller coaster lollybag journey.
Yes, exactly.
That's thank perfect. You for joining us again, lovely listeners. I feel weird saying that because it's not live. Future listeners, thank you for joining us. And we hope you'll continue to join us on this journey through the wild terrains of the publishing land, and cheer us on as we do all the scary things. And yeah.
All right.
That's it.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
World.